Welcome to Minds on a Mission podcast, the podcast where we explore the journeys that challenge us, change us, and chart the best course for our best selves. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music / Audible, Apple Podcasts. We're pretty much on everywhere. Podbean, Buzzsprout, Deezer. You can think of it, it's pretty much on there. I'm your host, Samantha Bailey, an entrepreneur and content creator, and today's lovely guest is Kate Juozaitis. Did I say that right?
You did a good job.
Yes! Woo! How are you today?
I'm great.
That's good. I know it's the first of the month, so it's usually a pretty busy time.
Yeah, well, and Friday and following Halloween and fall has finally fallen.
Yes, so it's a bunch of things. It's a crazy time.
Right.
I work at a credit union, so it's been super busy.
Oh, I'm a mental health therapist, so we're just hurtling ourselves into holiday hell.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is my favorite question I love to ask at the beginning. For those of us who may not know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first, I'm Kate. Kate, she is great. I have been my own hype girl since she was 8. Yep, I made that all rhyme. A little bit about me. So I am also an entrepreneur. I have 2 booming companies. So I have Clay Therapeutic Services, which is my private practice. I'm a mental health therapist, so I have a group practice. And then I have Lift As You Climb Coaching, where I help empower women to be their best selves, move with confidence, and take up space.
That's awesome. I love
Thanks.
that. And so my favorite thing to do, if you're okay with that, is I love to know, okay, we've gotten the where you are now. So I love to go way back and talk about childhood. So could you tell us a little bit?
Oh, God. Why do we have to talk about that?
You don't have to go too deep. I just love to kind of know what's your upbringing, what life was like. You have siblings, things like that.
I guess if we're going to get into it, we're going to get into it. So I grew up in a small town in Illinois, a farming community where the population was 800. And I'm the middle child of 2 parents. I have an older brother, younger sister, and I don't know. I don't know what else I could tell you. I've been remarkable, I guess, in that I joined a fire department shortly after having a rollover car accident that truthfully should have killed me. I became the youngest licensed medic in the state of Illinois and a Lifesaver of the Year all before I was 20. And that is where my journey really began, in my overachieving, my high standards for myself, not letting anybody tell me no or that I couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't. And I've been a success, truthfully, despite myself and other people telling me no.
Wow.
And that's just a snippet. I could tell you so much more, but
Right. So you said you have 2 other siblings?
yes, I have an older brother and a younger sister. And to be honest, I'm estranged from my family. So that is probably a very unique thing that I guess lots of people have lots of things to talk about.
Right. I don't know. I have an older brother, but he's technically a half sibling because we have different dads. But so I'm like the baby. But yeah, I've always wondered what it's like to have more than one sibling and to also be a middle child, because I know a lot of people have said kind of being the middle child can be hard sometimes. So it's
That's true. And again, it's also kind of how you show up. So that's a big part of it. Although I'm the middle, my brother and I are 14 months apart. You would never know that he was the oldest. And that's just, a lot of that has to do with my personality, who I am. I'm bold, which is how the firstborn should be, right? They're the ones that are going to take all the licks and like teach parents how to be parents, in a lot of remarks. So, except for he didn't do that. He was very meek and very quiet. And so I did all of that stuff.
Right. And I can relate to that too because my brother, we're 5 years apart, but I feel like I'm the older sibling and he's the younger sibling, which like feels so weird because I'm only 21, so to feel
Mhm.
like I'm way more mature than my brother who's 26.
Right.
Um, it's kind of
Boys
like that.
mature slower. Boys just mature slower than girls.
Yeah. I also think too, it's like how you choose to like look at your life, and that's where we really differ, and that's where I feel like I've really matured a lot and he hasn't, because I feel like I very much have that like I used to have a victim mindset, but I've really worked hard on getting out of that and trying to see the positives in things.
Right.
And he very much like lives in that victim mindset, and that's kind of been where I feel like we've really differed a lot.
Is it victim or is it comfort? Because like, seeing that I'm a coach that helps empower women, but what I've noticed is like so many women, we're at a stage right now where all we want is growth. And so we're evolving more. Actually, we're actually evolving faster and faster. And I've had so many married women, because I'm also a divorce mediator. So I mean, I can tell you, I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats. So I'm a certified divorce mediator. I'm also an ASECT trained sex therapist. So I'm like, yeah, I'm the one stop shop. I can do it all, and I can do immigration evaluations and asylum evaluations and stuff like that. So I've been around the block a little bit. But a lot of the women that I talk to, their husbands or boyfriends or partners in life, are very comfortable. Like they don't want any more change. They cannot seem to manage the change. There's God help me, afraid of change, and yet change is how we all grow. It's how we all evolve. And so there are men that are just like, well, we have the house and we've had the kids and we both have jobs. Like, why do we have to grow anymore? And the wives are like, because I want more, right? And so it's like it's such a beautiful, wonderful thing that we have women that like want more out of their life and for themselves, and not just for themselves, but for their kids too. And then they have husbands that are like, I don't want to, and you can't make me. And then it causes like such a rift in the relationship.
Right. And I've heard too that like if your partner, and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't, I'm still, I would consider myself very young and I'm still learning new things every day and I'm like, wow. But like I've heard too, like this is what my mom would always tell me is that like whoever you're with, like if you're constantly growing and they're not, like it's just it probably won't end up working out because your partner should be growing with you.
This is true. So, and this is an analogy that I use. So ships are vessels, right? And vessels, that a ship in particular is supposed to do what?
I'm bad at answering things like that.
But a ship is supposed to take you somewhere, right? Have you ever
Right.
been on a cruise?
No,
Okay,
I
did you?
haven't. I wish I had been on a cruise.
Well, I'll put that on your bucket list.
I
But
will.
but like the whole point is like the ship is supposed to move. You wouldn't pay a large amount of money to get on a boat and have it stay at the dock. You wouldn't pay a lot of money to get on, God help me, a spaceship and have it
Right.
just sit there, right? Like the whole point is that it's supposed to move. Well, guess what? What is the last four letters in big words? Relation, ship,
Chips. Yep.
partner, ship,
Yep. Yep.
right? Friendship. Like they're all supposed to help us move somewhere. And hopefully Like in all of these things, you're doing it with somebody. Yes. And so then your mom's right. They're all supposed to help you move somewhere together.
Mhm.
So when you've got some ship that has decided to take anchor, right, then you're never going to go anywhere together, and you're never going to grow together.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And two, it's like definitely something I've had to think about a lot within, especially like this last year, with really being focused on myself and my growth journey, like realizing which relationships were not going to be that, where someone was very much stuck in a comfort. And I've just been really like, I want to keep pushing myself. I want to go farther. I want to do more. I want to have more experiences. I want to travel the world. And realizing that certain people I had in my life, from the mindset that I had before and who I was as a person before, because I've changed so much,
Yeah.
that certain people just were not going to be beneficial for me to continue to grow. And so
Yeah.
having to realize, like, I need to end these relationships. If, like, I had a friendship, we were friends for 8 years, and I really held on to that. And it was really hard for me to let go of that friendship because I felt like we had so many memories and stuff together. And it just really was a constant thought of like, who am I as a person, and who am I when I'm with this person? And what do I see in the difference of that? And I very much noticed that I was being someone that I used to be. That wasn't me anymore. And I didn't feel like I could be me now because I was so stuck in being comforted with that person, because I was like, oh, we've had all these times together and stuff. And so,
Loyalty. And that keeps a lot of people very much so stuck in relationships, right? And any type of relationship. Heck, even like the relationship you have with work. I have so many people come in and they talk about that, the relationship that they have with their work people. And, they're loyal. So they've stunted their growth, their career path, because they're just loyal. It's not always that they're lazy, which I know that that's like a big thing, is like some people, it's like, oh, but they're so lazy. But no, they're loyal. And a beautiful thing is hope, right? Is that, and it's a unique thing to women, is that hope is always the last thing to die, right? We hope that the people that we have surrounded ourselves, that we've poured ourselves into, we hope that they're going to get it. We hope that they're going to come along with us. We hope that they're going to see what we see, and that they're going to be excited, and they're going to come. Like it's going to be like a big bright light, and they're just going to be like, yes, come on. And that's usually the last thing to go. That's the last domino to fall, when we're just like, I have spent so much time hoping for somebody else to see me, to want more, to fill in the blank here, to love more. And it's just never going to happen.
I I really resonate with that. And I know a lot of people will too, because that is, like you said, like very true, and that's a very common thing. And two, it's like, where that's how I felt, where I finally felt like I was breaking that shell of being so comforted in that, and being like, oh, maybe things will get better, or feeling, I had so many times where I felt like just so many boundaries were crossed, or I was communicating how I felt, but it wasn't being reciprocated. And so, like you said, it was just at a point I just couldn't take that anymore. It just was like, I don't see myself where I am now continuing to be that person just because I love this person and then I've known them for so many years. It just was like, it became a you or me situation. And I had to finally say, I'm choosing me, and I'm choosing to, even though I don't want to let go, to
Yeah.
move forward, because I know it's what's best for me and my growth. So,
And again, women, we're all given kind of the same messages. It's built into the shame cycle that we're all given, that our purpose is to serve. Our purpose is to hold all of the emotion and all of the space for all of the people that come in our lives, and to put ourselves last. So for me to hear, and I'm way older than you could be my baby. So, hi, I'm going to be your mom for a second. Um, Sorry, mom. Like, you got a great kid. But, for me to hear you at 21 and it's still so hard for you to choose yourself because again, we're all brought up with that same messaging that it's not okay for us to choose ourselves. I know the message I got growing up was if I chose myself, I was selfish. And I was a mouthy kid. I'm not even going to lie about it because I was smarter than a lot of people and they wouldn't listen to me. So anytime somebody told me that I was selfish for choosing myself, I would double down on them and tell me why. Tell me why. Because at some point in time, I have to learn to choose me because you're not going to choose me. Man, did that piss my parents off? I ain't lying about that. But it was true. It didn't make me selfish. It made me self-loving. And that is something that we just have to learn to weave into our vocabulary, right? It's no longer selfish and selfless. There's self-love. And that's the gap in between the two.
I really like what you said about the self-love part because I feel like too, uh, a lot of things that like happened in my life, and I definitely felt like I had um a lot of different things like daddy issues, attachment issues, kind of just craving attention because I felt like I was lacking in certain ways, and so I felt like I was letting a lot of those things kind of just hold me back, and I didn't have that self-love. I felt very much like I was reliant on other people and in several ways and attention and felt like I didn't deserve certain things like self-love or being loved by other people. So I felt like I very much was like that where I was trying to over contribute in so many different relationships in different ways that I wasn't giving any of that to myself. And so I was just pouring myself out to other people, but not saving that for myself. And so when I finally started realizing, like, I need to focus on me and really start to heal myself and things that I've been through. And so that's when I finally started realizing, like, I deserved to love myself and to not always put other people ahead of me because I felt like that's what I needed to do. And so
Yeah.
that's like I feel like a very hard thing to come to that point, but once you get to that, it's like I feel like I would never go back. Once I got to that point, I was like I I could never before like enjoy spending time by myself. Like I was afraid to be alone. And now it's like that's all I want to do. It's like I want to spend time with myself. I want to exercise. I want to do fun things alone. And it's like it's very cool to be at that point.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you're saying this and I'm grateful at your age that you're able to say this because again, I like the messages we get as women is we're not complete unless a hero comes to rescue us, right? And young, that hero is supposed to be your dad. He might not have the capacity. And then after that, it's the next step is, of course, you're going to find that partner for life and they're going to be the hero. Farfig Nugan on that shit. Um, Sorry, I don't know if I can curse, but I just did. So there. Um, but the truth is, Mike, you're your best hero and you're your best friend. And too many people don't understand that. And I'm grateful that you have that. I really do hope. There it is, that word, that evil word, hope. But I do hope that that's something that you can hold on to from this point far into your future until death do you part.
I appreciate that and thank you. And another thing I wanted to add was something I learned that I really stand by is that and this is like in regard to relationships.
Yeah.
Um and I actually told one of my friends this because I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I give unwarranted advice. I'm not a therapist, but sometimes I'm like, listen, I've done a lot of work. So I'm like, here's my free advice. It's not licensed advice, but
Sure.
but is that you should shape yourself up to be who you want to be and to love yourself. And when you're in a relationship, I've heard a lot of people, it's like they're in a relationship, oh, and kind of what you're saying is like, oh, you complete me, and it's like,
Ugh,
my biggest thing is like, you should complete yourself. Your partner should be an addition to your life and to be something that like empowers you, and it's not taking away from you as a person. Like me and my partner, I don't ever like to be referred to us as a whole. He is his own person, I am my own person. Yes, we are together, but I don't see us as an entity. It's like I like
no,
being my own person. I don't think it should ever be, oh, we're together and we complete each other. It's like, no, you are one whole and they are one whole and you guys are together. And
right.
that's just how I feel like it should be.
You're supposed to be a compliment. So
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I was like, A, know everything about yourself. And you, Samantha, you are going to learn so much more about yourself as you continue to evolve and your brain is not fully cooked yet, which, by the way, beautiful thing. But you're going to continue to learn all these wonderful things that you like and that you don't like. And you should be easily able to name 100 things that you like about yourself. 100 things that you are proud of. And these are intellectual things, they're emotional things, they're physical things, like your accomplishments, your talents. Like you are a sum of all of your parts, and you should be able to identify easily 100 of those things. Here's the flip: in a partner, you should be able to do the exact same thing. 100 things that you are looking for in somebody that complements these 100 things over here that you already know about yourself. And if you can't do that, you're dead in the water. And the sad fact is like most people only come up with 10 things that they're looking for in a partner. And here's the saddest fact is that most people will only get 10 to 15% of the things that they're looking for in somebody else. At max, you'll get 20. So if you've only listed out 10 things that you're looking for in somebody else, you're getting 2 max. That's bottom of the barrel kind of stuff. I mean, your bar is so low. And the truth is, like, there's 8 billion people in the world. There's somebody for everybody. And it's okay to have expectations in with real ones. Like, we have some realistic expectations, but to not be like scraping by and having a scarcity mindset that I just have to take anybody because anybody is better than nobody. Like, choose yourself and not a headache, because if you're choosing that bottom of the barrel, you are really choosing to have a very miserable life. And I can say that because I've been there. I've been there. I've tested the waters. I've been single for a long time. I have a wonderful person in my life right now. But I have tried to scrape by with, like, 30 things, and I still wasn't getting great numbers. And it was reflective in the type of people. Now, they weren't bad guys, but they did not reflect the, and dare I say it, greatness. That is who I am. And I'm unapologetic about that. And so should you. And everybody else who's listening too.
As you should. That's how I feel. I very much feel like, I don't know. And I definitely kind of, when you're talking about like you used to be mouthy, I definitely feel like I am in ways. And it's really come to with me learning to love myself. I'm just like, I don't I can't accept certain things anymore. And like I had an instance where someone was like said to my partner, like, "Oh, are you gonna let her dress like that?" And I was like, he is not gonna tell me what to do or what to wear. I am my own person, and sorry, but I don't agree with that. I personally think things like that. I'm like, it's 2024. I don't
Yeah.
think that men should be telling women what to wear. In
No.
my
No.
and that's very much how I am. I'm like, I will, and my thing is, as long as I'm not doing anything to intentionally hurt my partner, I'm gonna do what I think is best for me. And
Right.
this is something I was talking about because it's like, if I feel like there's something that's good for me, but maybe he doesn't agree with, and I'm like, okay, but this is not doing anything to harm you or other people, I'm going to do what I think is best for me. And so it's
Well,
just
and that's where communication and negotiation is like super key, because you don't want to bring harm to your
right,
partner. You don't want to cause chaos in the relationship. You
right,
do want to understand where they're coming from, why they're coming from that, how it affects them, right? Because that's the part of the giving
mhm,
and the receiving. And also, like, that people say all the time that they're afraid of conflict, right? You've probably heard people, you probably have friends who say that. Oh, I just avoid the conflict, so I play small, or I just appease them, or that. Every time you do that, you're just putting more weight on yourself, right? Making yourself smaller and smaller and smaller. And all conflict is, here's the new definition, okay? The reframe on what conflict is you have a set of thoughts, feelings, and ideas that come from your lived experience. I have the exact same, and they might be in opposition, right? Yours might conflict with mine because we just experience different things. All I'm doing is I'm sharing where I'm coming from. You're sharing where you're coming from. We're in a conflict right now. How's it feel? Is it terrible?
I'm a little feisty, so
But is this terrible, right? I mean, we're coming from decades of differences, but like, is this terrible? This is conflict. You have thoughts,
right,
feelings, ideas, and experiences, and I have them too. And all we're doing is sharing them. We're not fighting about them. I'm
right,
understanding you, you're understanding me, and we can negotiate, right? There's some things that you're absolutely dead on about, and there's some things that I'm dead on about. And the things that we don't agree on, we can agree to disagree. But
right,
we at least understand each other, and that's all it can be. It's
right.
really that simple. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, and that's where I mean it's like if I feel like okay, how like if I'm questioning how a decision would affect my partner, then that's what I mean. Obviously, I would discuss that with my partner and we would talk about it. But
Mhm.
I'm more so saying like if I felt like okay, I know that I can make a decision that I feel like there's it's justified on my end. Like I feel like I'm very good at making decisions that are reasonably justified. And if I feel like my partner maybe has a disagreement, but and they explain it and I'm like, "Okay, but I don't understand that." I'm more like, "Okay, you express that, but I don't see that why it would be, and I feel like I know myself or I don't make decisions like that to intentionally hurt my partner. So that's
Sure.
more of like, okay, I'm gonna take the executive decision because maybe you're having a disagreement and we're not understanding that, but I understand that it's not going to negatively affect you. So that's kind of where I'm like, if I feel like it's what's best for me, I am going to do it, but it's never just a like, oh, I'm just going to make the decision. It's like, we will talk about it. But it's like, if I feel
Well,
like,
and the other part is, right, it's not your job to fix it for him. Like, he can have his feelings and he's going to. And
mhm,
you can be like, and you get to have those feelings. I'm not required to fix that for you. And that's really important. Like, you can fix that for yourself. I'm not here to heal the world, right? And again, like, that's a thing so many women believe. I am supposed to put all of that onto my backpack. I'm supposed to heal everybody. Nope, you're not. You're allowed to heal yourself. And they are responsible to fix their own stuff. And even if they don't want to, because, change is hard, you have to be like, great. And you're going to be the person carrying around that extra weight because you don't want to let it go. And I'm going to have to let you do it. It gets heavy. And I'll point out to you, that's real heavy that you're carrying around, but you're choosing it. So I'm going to let you.
mhm. Yeah, that's how I feel. I too, it's like, I'm a little stubborn. I'm like, okay, well, because I feel like I spent so many years being a people pleaser, I very much felt like that was just something that I felt like had to be a thing. Like I feel like that's kind of how I not how I was raised by my mother, but I lived with my dad and my stepmom for a while. And that's where I felt like I really felt like I had to be a people pleaser. I had to do things I didn't want to do. I had to not be who I was as myself. I had to be someone else for other people.
Sure.
And so when I moved out a couple months after graduating, and I really started thinking about like how am I going to heal from all my trauma and everything, and just what do I want to do with my life, that's when I really started being like, okay, well, I'm no longer going to do uncomfortable things that other people want me to do. Doesn't mean I won't put myself in uncomfortable situations if I feel like it's going to benefit me and it's going to grow me, but it means if I really know that I don't feel comfortable in this situation for a specific reason, and that can tie down to a lot of things that happened in my past with my family. I'm not gonna continue to put myself in that situation to make those people happy. So that's again another thing of me choosing me first and not other people, just because.
I appreciate that so much. And I have this thing, I call it the fuck it bucket. And sometimes we just have to chuck it into the fuck it bucket. And maybe we have 2 tiers. So then it's 2 tiers in a bucket. And we have to make those decisions, right? Because we can't make everybody happy. It's not your job. It's not your job.
And it's weird too. I feel like I like it's just kind of a thing a lot of people have, and like even that's what I'm saying myself, where it just feels like you just kind of think, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be there for everyone else and like be all spread myself thin in all these places. But then it's like, but then you have no time for you, which is like, that's where you should really be. And that's not saying don't spend time with family or don't do things, but that just means like, look at where you're allocating your time, and the energy you're putting out.
Right. And I'm like, if you don't have you and you're not in a good space, I'm like, what does anybody else get?
Yeah, like that. What is that quote? I'm sure you know it. The glass half full.
Yep.
Or yep.
Can't pour from an empty vessel.
Yeah. That's very, very true.
Yeah. Agreed.
I love talking about stuff like this because it's like I feel like I really started like reflecting on a lot of things in my past and just being like, wow, like I really have overcome a lot, and it's like amazing to kind of sit down and think about things because sometimes it's like I feel like it's so easy to see all the negative things, and it
Sure.
feels like it's like you're having to go against that internal like, oh, poor woe is me, and just being like, okay, no, this is what I have done. This is what I have accomplished, and like learning to redirect that dialogue to be positive. And so that's something I've really worked hard on. Especially like I said, the last 6 months of this last year, I've really tried working on that. So.
Well, and here's the good news. It only gets harder as you get older. So you're welcome. But the other fact is 80% of our thoughts in a day are negative. How about that? That'll just like, wait, what? And they're automatic. They're automatic thoughts because they're either from other people that they've put on us or like, in a constant state of worry about what we're doing next. 80% is a lot. And that gets then drilled into our neural pathways. And so it requires that work, the work that you're just doing now, which by the way, keep it up because that's what's going to carry you through then all of those hard times that are going to set up your limiting beliefs and your I can'ts. They'll soften those because you're going to redevelop the neural pathways that you have to believe that I can. And you're going to see, because you're going to go through that checklist of, look at what I have already done. Like I started off as 17 years old, like just had a rollover car accident. Who joins the fire department? This girl. This girl does. And she has told herself over and over and over again, anytime that somebody told me no, or I can't, or I shouldn't, or I wouldn't, my answer to that was, watch me. And I did. And not because I had like this great support system of people that pushed me forward. It was because I carried me through. And if I can put one foot in front of the other, even if it's inching my way through, I'm going to make it because I've already made it this far.
I love that.
You are going to have the exact same experience. So high five to you. Boom.
I know you said you weren't gonna say your age, but I feel like we're still so similar, even though you look great though. I don't know how old you are, but you look great.
Well, I'll tell ya, but you have to guess first.
Guess how old you are?
Yeah.
Well, I know in your thing you said something about 20 years of experience, so maybe late 30s?
No.
No.
I am closer to 50. So I am 48 years old. Yes, ma'am. All of this.
I wouldn't know, honestly. And that's not even a bad thing because hey, my mom's 51 and she looks great as well. Like people always growing up would be like, cuz my mom's 30 years older than me, which is crazy. Like to think we have that many years apart from each other.
Yeah.
But people always would be like, "Is that your sister?" And I'm like, "No, that's my mom." I had a thing I wanted to show you. I know we were talking about limiting beliefs and 80% being negative thoughts. I'll show you guys something.
Daily.
Yes, I'll show you guys something, and this will make your mind go. Psh. When I went to my first ever real estate event, and it was kind of like also like a mindset workshop type thing,
Okay.
and it was in Utah, May of last year, and they had a lot of stuff there, and I've talked a little bit about it, but I worked a lot on limiting beliefs there, but I got this workbook and it's for limiting beliefs and it's to do like meditations on it.
Yes.
So I'll show you guys. I have at least 100 written in there, but I'll show you how many I've come up with of just thinking, oh, what are things I've definitely thought before? There's a lot, and I could tell you, I'm sure there's a bunch on there that I haven't thought, but I'll show you guys that. Give me one second. I just gotta find it. It's like
and she's gone. Are you digging under the desk?
It's under the desk.
It's supposed to be on the desk so you have it to write in all the time.
No, I have like a organizers under my desk to put my stuff in because I have a lot of notebooks. But this is the lovely. It's called a breakthrough journal, and I got this. It was actually really cool. I paid $30 technically, but it went to their charity foundation, which I loved it. But yeah, so when I tell you I have so many written in here, it's crazy. Like oh yeah, all the way out to here, this huge chunk of paper. And there's more to fill in, but you guys definitely
More to come.
Yeah, definitely recommend to find something like that and to just write them out. Just think, what have I definitely said to myself? And there's a lot of things I'm sure. Like mine with my new job, a lot of things I've had recently, which I always tell myself, take the thoughts, throw it out the window. That's like what I like to tell myself. Take it and just throw it out the window.
Bucket.
Yes, that's my like version of the fuck bug. I'm like, take it and chuck it out the window. Like, just don't even think about it. But mine's been like, I'm not worthy of this job. I'm not good at it. And it's like, again, those are internal things, especially when you're learning something new, you're gonna make mistakes. And that's when I feel like for me at least, I've had so many, like just like the most is just like piled on top of each other. Anything that I've thought before just comes caving in those moments, like you're horrible, you're not good at this, blah, blah, just like, and just have to like recenter and just remind yourself like you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. You have
to come home and shower all of the negativity off of yourself and remind yourself, I'm a beautiful, wonderful being. I'm a being of light and love, and that is my offering to everybody. Right?
I love that. I also have two. I can link that with this, but I have a motivational video I like to listen to, and for a good while I didn't listen to it, and I feel like I really wasn't being myself and kind of just letting myself slip back into the cracks of making excuses. And so this week I told myself I'm gonna recommit to myself. I'm gonna start working out again. And so I started listening to this again. So I'm gonna share it with you guys. I'll have it linked with this. But I love it because it's one of those things that like I cry to listening to this every time I listen to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it has Eric Thomas in it. He's talking in it, but just kind of talks about making excuses and how really like you have to accept doing little jobs, because I know a lot of people, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, or like not seeing that a little thing could like take you far in life. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. And like for me, my thing was like, oh, I don't want to do like a side hustle outside of work because I'm so tired. And just like I had to tell myself, like, if you want to have more in life and be more in life, you have to do more. So it's just realizing like, okay, I have to get out of my comfort zone and push myself and do things that maybe I was like not willing to do before. And so for me, it was like cleaning. Now I do cleaning on the side. Before I was like, I'm never going to do cleaning. I don't want to do cleaning. Like that just sounds like too much work and I'm so tired. And just having to tell yourself like, stop thinking like that, because that's not going to help you.
You don't know what door is going to open. And that's just the fact. I like this year, myself, I feel like I have stepped into, because I just leap. That is just who I am. I just leap into things. I don't ask a lot of questions. I recognize there's an opportunity in front of me and I check my gut. And if it's not like ringing off the hook, like, then I just leap. And after this, like so many doors just continue to open. I didn't tell you, but like I was on a reality TV show. Yep. Competition for entrepreneurs. It's called The Blocks. And my season is going to drop sometime in the new year. But that was like one of those things, like middle of the night, I woke up, I filled out an application. I kind of said, this isn't going to be a thing. And then I don't know, a few days later, they called me and they're like, you haven't responded. And I was like, I didn't think you were going to choose me. And I went through this whole process all the way, like 150,000 applicants. And I was one of 120. I know. Who would have thought? And I'm just like, you're going to get this cuckoo lady who's going to show up. And I had broken my knee. And so I was on crutches and like all of this other stuff. Like it was bananas. But I was like, that door opened. And then I did a podcast with somebody like a month ago. And she contacted me and called me back. And she was just like, oh, I want you to come back when you have your book done. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What book? And she was like, oh, I thought I saw something about you having a book. And there was no book. And a friend of mine put me in contact with somebody who's going to help me write my book that I didn't even think was a thing, because all of these things, just because I keep working and I keep putting myself out there. And yeah, there are people that are not going to like me to that. But like the truth is, I'm here for a purpose. And all of these things are happening because they're iterating me to who I'm meant to be. And you just have to be open to that. Life's going to knock you down. It's going to happen. And life is also going to pick you up.
I love that.
Don't
You're
tell
crushing it,
anybody.
girl. You're a powerhouse. I love it.
I'm just here to motivate people. That's it. Like, I mean, I can tell you that my life was great and wonderful, and my upbringing, my childhood was swimming, and my parents took care of me. Did they give me a lot of love? No, they did not. And I've had to learn to love myself and then pour love into other people and hold space for them. I mean, that's what a therapist does. But I've also had to do all of those things for myself. And if I can do it, I can empower anybody to do it too.
Yes, you can. And you have, and you will continue to do that.
Yeah. It's the goal.
Yeah. Because you're what? You said Kate the Great?
Kate, she is great. Kate, she is great.
Making me think I'm like gotta come up with my own, but I don't even know what would. I don't know.
It'll come to you, I promise.
All I can think of is Dr. Seuss, Green Eggs and Ham, Sam I Am. Like,
well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I mean, stand on it. You should always stand on who the fuck you are.
As these the younger generation says, standing on business. That's supposedly the lingo, but I don't keep up with that. Then what are they? Gen Alpha? I don't know. They speak another language. I'm
Yeah.
not.
I'm like, come on, for me, you speak another language sometimes, but
Me?
yeah, your generation, are you kidding me? Some of the shit you say, I'm like, what? Was that even English? What?
I'm not normal though. I wouldn't say I feel like I'm an old soul, so I probably know as much as you do.
You have some wisdom. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that. You have some wisdom for a 21-year-old, though it's still gonna grow. I felt the same way when I was 16, and people I went to high school with have told me that I'm exactly the same as I was then. And I don't know. I felt like that was great, but it remains that I am consistent. You
Mhm.
love me because I'm honest, I'm upfront, and you know where you stand with me, or you hate me, but it's for the exact same reasons.
Right.
Consistency is key. So be Sam, I am, and double down on that.
And eat some green eggs and ham.
That too.
Yeah, I agree with that though. I feel like I've very much been the same person. I feel like there has definitely been time points where I was trying to be someone that I was not, and that's just more to, like I said, kind of trying to fit into a box, or because I was looking for attention in different places for several reasons. So
We're just looking to be comfortable. I mean, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could have been that I just need to feel comfortable,
yeah,
right? I'm in an uncomfortable situation, or, I just need to feel safe. And safety is not a bad thing,
my
right?
friends. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say my friend says I'm a chameleon, and that like I always adapt to situations to make myself comfortable. Like she's noticed that something. And that's not meaning I'm not being me, but just meaning that there's different versions of me depending on who I'm hanging around with. And that's more so because I always try to make myself comfortable in different situations. So if I was somewhere where I didn't know anyone, I would make friends, and I would, you know what I mean? And that's just very much someone who I was. I never, like, I would always go outside of my comfort zone because I was like, well, I'd rather have friends than be alone. So like,
And so you're an ambivert. So you're not always an extrovert and you're not always an introvert, but you know when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
yes, I have
Yep.
never heard that term. That makes sense though. In the
Ambivert.
middle.
Yep.
Yeah,
Are you
that's.
also a Gemini?
Are you?
Are you a Gemini?
Well, you asked me first, so I guess I have to answer first. Yes.
You are?
Yeah.
Welcome, Gemini sister.
You're a Gemini?
I am.
Finally, someone who can understand the
Yes.
the the whole thing behind Geminis. Like every time someone asks me, I'm like, no, because I already know what you're gonna say. Oh, a Gemini is you're two-faced, and I'm just like,
Nope.
no. How I view it is I can see both sides of everything, and that's where how I feel it is. Not that I'm two-faced, is that I can see both sides of everything,
It is
and
true.
so
It is
which
true.
which people don't understand. Being a Gemini is hard because in that aspect, it's kind of hard to be like set on something because it's like, well, I can see both sides of that. Like I can't be like, oh yes, it's this, and oh yes, it's that. It's like I can see in both ways, which makes it very good though because we're able to connect with a lot of people because we can see people for who they are and
Yep.
and accept people. So that's how I feel.
Right. And people think that Geminis are evil. We're not evil. We're literally the most loving people. But man, don't cross us because we'll come for you. You will regret it. And I go back to the consistency of Kate. So you will love her because she's honest, she's upfront, and you know where you stand with her, or you'll hate her, but it's for the exact same reasons.
I
Gemini.
agree. It's the Gemini qualities. I actually don't think I've really talked in person with a Gemini woman, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I I had a situationship with a Gemini man, and I said I will never try to be with the same sign, never again. I was like Gemini's, like in relationships, don't think it's the greatest idea. And like, you know what I mean? Boyfriend and girlfriend
It's
are like,
a
oh,
lot of personality. It's a
yeah.
lot of personalities.
And I say in that aspect, I don't think they mingle well in being in a relationship together. I'm like, no, but that was not enough thing for 2 years, and I'm like, no, I'll never be with a Gemini man again. That's not happening.
But they make for great friends. They really do.
Yeah, because you can understand each other, and too, it's
Yep.
like the ebbs and flows of being a Gemini. It's like you said, the ambivert thing. It's like I'm like very much sure I'm either like or I'm like leave me alone.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
See, now you've gotten an education even on yourself.
Yes, I know. I was starting it. I need to finish it, but I was listening to an audiobook called Self Care for Gemini. They have like different ones based on your sign.
Oh God. You should
But
read, if you're going to read a book, you should read a book called Being a Unicorn in a Land of Jackasses, Donkeys, Being a Unicorn in the Land of Donkeys. I think that's what it's called.
I'll have to.
Put it on your reading list.
I will. I'll do it right now. So I know we're kind of nearing the hour mark, and I know we were late, but I would love to take the last couple minutes just to allow you to share anything that we might have not touched on. If you have anything you want to promote, anything you're releasing. I know you just talked about the reality show that's coming out. So
Oh yeah,
share.
that's going to be a big one for people to look out, world, because here I come. It'll be the blocks sometime in the new year. It'll be streaming on Amazon Prime. Where else? I'm not quite sure. Sometimes I think it's on YouTube. It is, if you follow the challenge, or what is the other one? Why can I never think of it? Wes Bergman is the producer of the blocks. So he's the fiery redhead. He was just on Villain House. Is that what it's called? I'm going to be promoting him clearly right now, but but if you've ever watched the challenge and Villain House, he is the redhead. He is conniving. He is something else, but he's genuinely a sweetheart of a guy. And he is who produced the blocks that I was on, season 15. And then my coaching program is Lift As You Climb Coaching. You can find me on liftasuclimb.com. I don't know what else to tell you. Evidently, I'm going to have a book sometime soon. We'll see what that looks like. My whole, and perhaps I'll be doing a speaking tour. We'll see how that works out. Yeah.
Well, that sounds
I don't stop. It, like, there's another challenge and another challenge and another challenge, and I'll figure it out. But life's meant to be lived, and my grandmother told me, like, this body is meant to be driven straight into the ground. So that's what I'm going to do. Can't take it.
I just made a new friend too, and we were trying to make plans to hang out, and she's like, "What's your schedule look like next week?" Send her a picture. Almost everything like is blocked, and she's like, "How do you?" And I'm like, honestly, I'm taking on a lot of things, and also like I'm a co-host on a couple of my mom's podcasts, and I have my own, which is two episodes a week. So I'm and then working a full-time job and trying to do these side hustles. I'm like, it is a lot. Am I managing? Yeah, because I'm a survivor and I will always manage, but it definitely is a lot to try to coordinate everything. And especially too, it's like I would love to at some point have a virtual assistant because that would make things a lot easier instead of trying to schedule everything out myself.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, you're young, so do it now, because when you're my age and still trying to do it all, then you're like, it's Friday, I'm tired. And I'm like, no, still working. I've been up and working since 7:00 this morning. So still going. Ain't dead yet.
Me too. I was up, got ready for work, worked all day. Then I got home, had a little time to eat, and then we hopped on. So very, very relatable.
Yep.
All right. I know we're kind of near. Well, I keep track of the time, but for everyone who joined, it's gonna seem a little off because we did hop on late. We were having some issues, but yeah. So for anyone who's wondering all the places they could find you, if I could just have you tell that. I know you said a little bit about it, but just kind of where they could find you on your different social medias and stuff.
Lift as You Climb Coaching is Instagram, my liftasyouclimbcoaching.com, and Facebook. And then my TikTok, which I don't do a whole lot of, is only building up, because that's my mission.
That's awesome. And I will have all this linked, but I'm kind of a person, I like verbal things as well. So I just like to kind of be like, this is where you can find us, so like, you know. And if someone wanted to reach out you, which one of those would be the best one to reach out to you?
Lift as You Climb at Gmail.
Okay.
Lift as You Climb Coaching at Gmail. It's terrible. Like, I don't know how I find myself. People just find me. Just kidding. But Lift as You Climb Coaching at Gmail.
Right. I know I had to like, so I have mine like all on a link tree because it's just kind of was like, I'm like, well, so I'll just go wrap up. I'll tell you guys where you can find me and where you guys can find the podcast. So I did mention in the beginning, but the podcast is pretty much on everything. Pretty soon I am going to start doing clips. I've had a couple of you guys give feedback. You want to see some clips from episodes. So I will be putting that on TikTok. I don't yet have a TikTok page for Minds on a Mission, but I will. And the best way to find out updates on the episodes and things like that is on my personal Facebook, Samantha Bailey. That's where I update the most. I do have a Minds on a Mission page, but I always forget to re-upload on there. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, I got my personal page and I got way more people on there, so I just posted on that one and hope everyone just looks on that page.
You just do this.
I'm like, personal page, if you have me on there, you can watch it. And then, yep, we're on pretty much everything: Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music / Audible, Deezer, Podbean, Buzzsprout. That's pretty much all of them. And like I said, where you can find me, my personal page, best way to contact me is on Messenger. I'm on Messenger all the time. That's just where I have a lot of friends on there, a lot of you entrepreneur fellows, and so we chat on there. So if you guys are interested in being a guest, or you have any questions or have feedback, you can reach out through there. Also, with my episodes, I do have forums linked if you wanted to submit a feedback survey as a guest or as a viewer. I have that as well. And then one thing I did want to mention, if you guys did not see my last episode with Laurel did come up with a code for you guys for her business growth boot camp. And I just want to mention that again because I definitely really appreciate her making that code for you guys. So you guys can use code MISSION to get $400 off her business growth boot camp, which means it's $97 instead of $497. So yeah, use code MISSION if you guys want to do that. I just thought I would bring that back up because Laurel spent the time to make that page for you guys. So utilize it. And if you're looking to scale your business and you don't know how, definitely utilize that resource. So I think that's about it. I appreciate you coming on tonight, Kate, and chatting with me. And wow, can't believe you're a Gemini. Another Gemini woman that I know there's so many out there, but I have yet to talk to another Gemini woman.
It's why we met like this.
Yes. And I appreciate sitting down and chatting with me and kind of, I definitely felt like there's some things that like I kind of was wondering too, that you kind of gave clarity on that, especially when you gave the analogy with the ships. I really liked that. So I really appreciate you coming on and spending an hour of your time with me. And I hope you have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. This was great. I appreciate this so much.
Of course, maybe down the line when you have your book, you can also come back on here.
I'll be promoting that soon. Just as soon as I, write it.
Right. I know. I'm sure I've thought about a book, and books, that takes so long to write.
Actually, they tell me it doesn't take as long as you think. So a lot of it is
just
just
a team. Yeah.
Just you.
No?
Nope. You just got to find the story inside of you. So
True.
that's it.
That is very true. Well, you let me know how your book process goes, and then I'll probably be like, okay, well, I'm gonna write mine then.
Deal.
Okay. Well, we thank you guys for coming on tonight and hanging out with us. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday for our next episode.
Thanks.
Bye. Have a good day.
Kisses and misses.
Don't forget to put stuff in your fucking bucket.